You always asking me, are we having fun yet? Are we having fun yet? And I'm always asking you, are we having fun yet? Are we having fun yet? Fun.
MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, so true, as we do have that conversation first thing. Anyways, how are you? I hope you've had a fantastic time over the last, let's say 23 hours or so, or 22 hours, depending on how far you took a listen to what the hell we had going on. Anyways, today's Wednesday, November the 30th of 2022, day 334 of the year, and only 31 days remaining in regards of what is going on. We are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place that we do stuff at.
Radio Big.
Oh, yes, hanging out with our friends at Radio Big, doing the stuff over there because, that's important as we are doing everything that is going on inside of the world. So there you go. Anyways, how are you? How are things? What did you do? Did you have fantastic times on Tuesday going into Wednesday? Did you do Taco Tuesday on Tuesday, or was it Burger Tuesday? I mean, I don't know. I never understand what some of these things are, but it's kind of always fun in regards of going around and moving and grooving and all that fun stuff, because that's what we do. Anyway, so let's start talking right away because we have very little time and a lot of things to do. So let's start talking immediately about the things that are trending in this multiverse of ours.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so talking about the trends of ends. Yesterday, Will Smith landed on Twitter's top 10 trends on Tuesday after discussing how he felt, how the fallout of the Oscar incident may affect his recent project. So yes, that was talked about yesterday. Let's see. Casey Anthony was trending yesterday as a new Peacock documentary in which she discusses her daughter's murder dropped. Twitter users were skeptical that Casey would actually tell the truth, and some were outraged at the streamer for giving her a platform. So there you go. The Texas Rangers were trending yesterday after news broke of Clarence Gilliard, I guess. Death broke, so there you go. USA versus Iran landed on Twitter top 10 trends as the U.S. men's soccer team faced off against Iran's team in the World Cup, and the United States won 1-0. Yes, 1-0. That's what happened there. And Red and Kitty were trending as the new teaser of the 1990s show dropped. The show is a spinoff of the 70s show. The show will be a premiere on Netflix on January 19th. You know, when Netflix is about $25 a month or whatever the hell it'll be at that particular point. Because that's one of those services that I don't understand of. Let's just keep on asking for more and more and more moolah. Yeah, more and more and more moolah. Hey, listen, I understand that things are going up in price, but man, I just don't get it when it comes to certain streaming platforms. Hey, but I guess that's not my deal. That's just kind of the way that it works out from time to time. So with that being said, let's see. If you're kind of new to around here about what the hell we have going on, let me kind of give you the layout of the land of what we do. And I apologize ahead of time about the things that we do around here sometimes. So this is what we do. We talk about the news. We talk about safety. We talk about safety in the news. And then we try to blend and mend and tie them all together into a large interlock of things that are going on inside of the world. And then we move on. I come back, I give you a main story, bring in some professional broadcasters and all of that kind of fun stuff. And then you kind of sit here and go, what the hell did I just do with the last hour of my life? And I go, that's exactly the point. That is the point that we're supposed to try to be accomplishing. It's nonsense. Yes, listen, I want you to understand that we talk about nonsense here. There is no other way to put it. That is what we do on this particular show. Because it's nonsense news, safety nonsense news, and then we blend it all together. We poke some fun at the Bears, we poke some fun at people, and then we kind of go from there and say, hey, isn't that a wonderful day? Yes, it's a beautiful day, all the stuff that we get to talk about, and the greatest part about the whole thing is that we get to enjoy some time together. You can interact with us if you want to on the platformers, on the different systems that are out there. Here's the gig, though. If you go to callinradio.com, that will be the easiest way to migrate inside of this thing. If you go into the social media boxes, most of the times I do ignore them. I do apologize ahead of time for that kind of sort of maybe because I just don't pay attention to them. It's just kind of a waste of time. The love comes into that other one. The love comes into that other one. I know people get pissed off when I say that. Anyways, with that being said, let's bring in some pro broadcasters and let them tell you what the hell is going on inside of the world of the news.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. Congressional leaders are scrambling to pass legislation to avoid a looming railroad strike. NBC's Tom Costello.
The chief concern, a rail strike could cost the economy anywhere from $500 million a week to $2 billion a day, depending on who is doing the analysis. Stalling the supply chain filled with everything from food to fertilizers.
Following a meeting with President Biden at the White House, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said he and Senator Mitch McConnell will work together to approve an agreement as soon as possible after the House takes it up today. After months of negotiations between unions and rail companies, the Biden administration brokered a contract in September to avert a strike, but workers voted against the new contract. The deadline to reach a deal is coming up next week. The Federal Reserve Chairman will make a speech today that will be closely watched by investors. It will be his last major scheduled remarks before Fed officials hold their next monetary policy meetings in mid-December. His comments today at the Brookings Institution will give investors a chance to listen for clues about where interest rates are heading. A tornado that tore through central Louisiana is to blame for injuring at least 2 people. Authorities say there is significant damage in Caldwell Parish, where trees have fallen on homes, and witnesses say debris was hurled thousands of feet into the air. The Caldwell Parish Sheriff's Office says 2 people were injured Tuesday night when the twister destroyed homes near Highway 126. It's on to the round of 16 for the U.S. men's soccer team. Brian Shook with more.
They beat Iran 1-0 Tuesday in their final group game at the World Cup in Qatar. The only goal was scored by Christian Pulisic, who was subbed out at halftime after injuring himself on the play. U.S. Soccer announced the star winger has a pelvic contusion and his status is day-to-day.
The team will face the Netherlands on Saturday. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. China's top law enforcement bodies pledging to crack down on hostile forces after protests. South Korea's warning of an unprecedented response should the North go forward with a nuclear weapon test. The leader of the far-right Oath Keepers militia in the United States has been convicted of seditious conspiracy, and experts say a new drug could mean the beginning of the end in the search for effective Alzheimer's treatments.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
The San Francisco Police Department is now allowed to kill suspects with robots. San Francisco Supervisor Hillary Ronan expressed concern at Tuesday night's meeting.
I think that the scenarios that we're using are hypotheticals to bring up fear.
On Tuesday, the San Francisco Board of Supervisors approved a policy that lets police use remote-controlled robots capable of lethal force when no safer alternative options are available for subduing a threat. The policy also allows the SFPD to use other military-grade weapons and equipment like a Humvee, flashbang grenades, and pepper spray. Police are on the hunt for a suspect after a woman was sexually assaulted while hiking on a trail in the Santa Monica Mountains in the L.A. area. LAPD Detective Joseph Hampton describes what happened.
The victim was hiking by herself when she was approached by a lone male who grabbed her and pulled her off of the trail. He brought her to a secluded area where a sexual assault occurred.
The attack happened in broad daylight on Canyonback Trail in the Encino area on November 21st, but wasn't announced by police until Tuesday. The suspect is described as a white or Hispanic man who's about 30 years old and has a 2-inch scar on his right forearm. Mystery at a Manhattan hotel after a housekeeper became dizzy inside a guest room and a white powder was found inside. Andrew Whitman reports.
Officials say it happened inside room 1111 in the Park Hyatt Hotel on West 57th Street near 7th Avenue. The maid found a white powder which came back positive for the explosive RDX, but so little of the powder was found it could not be tested again. And some officials now think the test may have produced a false positive. The last hotel guest checked out of the room November 25th, but a homeless person may have picked up a key and used it since. Police and the FBI now checking to see if anyone else had access to the room.
A holiday season icon will take center stage tonight. The Rockefeller Center Christmas tree will be lit, ushering in the traditional start of the season. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp-speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And, with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have anybody to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Have you ever wanted to start live streaming and were not sure how to do it? You can start live streaming up to 40 social media platforms all at one time for as little as nada. It's going to cost you your time. That is what it's going to cost. You can pre-record, you can live stream, you can do a multitude of things. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.com/one. That's safetyfm.com, ONE.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Radio in USA, Canada, UK.
It's this show, and they just make fun of a whole bunch of people. It's just too funny. It's too stupid.
Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of that news cycle, that is for sure. Currently 16 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Wednesday. We'll call them Wow. We'll call it Wow Wednesday, whipping them out Wednesday. You know, that kind of fashion. We'll just keep it we'll keep it in that lingo of bingo and just go from there. That is the way that it is going on. So let's start talking right away about the stuff on the list that I get that I have lovely deemed over to the shit list, because that's how much stuff is on there, and sometimes it's just an array of crap that's all over the place, so we need to talk about it. So let's go from there. The Chinese Communist Party mobilized its military and police forces on Monday into Tuesday to quell further freedom protests like the ones that have popped up over the weekend. Police built walls around the protest gathering areas and set up checkpoints where jackboot police thugs stopped people to review their smartphone data to see if they have been part of the protest. So what do? Like, do you grab your phone real quick and go, okay, format all, because it needs to be done before we kind of move forward and do anything else? I mean, I don't know. I mean, what the hell's going on there? So some stuff to think about it in regards of what is going on there. That is for sure. Anyways, take a listen to this as well. Mortgage lenders have been authorized to increase the borrowing limits for loans backed by federal government to more than $1 million in some areas of the country. The police say that the policy is to help the rising cost of borrowing. In other words, banks are giving out mortgages to houses that people that typically can't afford, but are doing it so anyways. Does anybody recall 2008? You know, a margin call. Now, I have to tell you, if you go looking at some prices of homes nowadays, I am flabbergasted in regards of some of the pricing on what the hell is going on out there. Because, like, I will tell you, some areas have increased double, and in some even areas triple of what they cost pre-pandemic. It's amazing. I will tell you that some of the people that I know have sold their house for $50,000 to $100,000 above asking. It was like the bidding war of 2024. If you know what that means, you're in. If you don't, that's perfectly fine. Anyways, Rolls-Royce has announced they've developed a hydrogen-powered jet engine in partnership with the European airliner EasyJet. The hydrogen fuel itself was developed using wind and tidal energy, making it extra green. The engine wasn't affixed to the plane for the flight, but tested on the ground, but marks an important step towards a wider adoption of clean energy source. So would you like to be the first one on the clean energy plane? Maybe that's the other question to ask. I don't know. It comes up, I talk about it. That's just kind of the way that it happens. Anyways, the kneecapped crypto market has led to one hell of a resale market for the high-end luxury cars, and the New York Post reports. Take a listen to this. Those flush with cash against cryptocurrency that were much more valuable a year ago stocked up on status symbol whips like the Mercedes G-Wagon, a Lamborghini. The McLaren Spider Auto Trader shows that used models cost about a third of of what they did a year ago, with many hitting the resale market all at once amid the crypto declining value. So there you go. If you're on the lookout for one of these high-end vehicles, now is your opportunity to do so. I know, it's kind of a weird one. Here's the thing. And listen, I listen to a lot of Dave Ramsey and read a lot of Dave Ramsey, and he constantly talks about not to invest in something you don't understand. And I get it. I look at it and I go, why invest in something you don't understand? Because it makes no sense to do so. But there you go. I guess we live and learn as we are talking about some of these things.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Take a listen to this real quick. An Ohio couple say that they saw a FedEx truck driver on the side of the road tossing out packages. They got curious about the situation and turned around and got a closer look, but then the driver was gone on his way. Rather than report the incident, the couple tell local media that they took it upon themselves to hand deliver the ditch packages that they could gather up on their own. They said that getting police involved would just mean a longer delay on the intended recipients. So here's my question. I don't know if you know this, but most of the FedEx stuff is done via third party, and you actually have to go in and try to buy a route for you to be able to go and do those deliveries. So do you think that they were just trying to move in that general direction to get everything moving? I'm just wondering, because it does sound like that.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
So there you go. A lot of stuff. I think it's 22 minutes past the top of the hour. Feels like we're going in full speed as we are going through some of the stuff around here. So let's go ahead and do this right now. Let's go ahead and bring in John Smalls, because he has some market news that you might want to hear.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Wednesday, November 30th, 2022. Equity markets tread water Tuesday ahead of remarks expected from Fed Chief Jerome Powell. He's expected to comment on inflation and could give insight into when and how high inflation will peak. There is a growing expectation on Wall Street the Fed chief will both raise the target for peak inflation and extend the duration that it'll last. If this is the case, the S&P 500 will most likely begin correction once again. Also on tap this week, the PCE Price Index. It's expected to cool on a month-to-month basis, but should remain high and in line with current FOMC expectations. The risk is the PCE will affirm the expectation for higher inflation, an event that will seal the deal on the S&P 500's next move. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for the information right there on what is going on inside of the market. Yep, so you heard it from him, so I guess I will kind of add on to the list in regards of what is going on. The Dow was flat on Tuesday, adding just 3 points to close at 33,852. The S&P lost about 6 points to close at 3,957. And the NASDAQ lost about 65 points to close at 10,983. West Texas Intermediate traded at $78 on Tuesday, and Brent crude at $84. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.52. Some friend of mine yesterday actually posted a gallon of gas at $2.98, and I was breaking my head open yesterday trying to figure out where the hell he was, because we do live in the same town. So I was just like, how the hell did you find that? Anyways, Bitcoin picked up about $250 during trading and just shy of 16,500. And what else did we see? Yesterday there was 3,517 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States. And are you ready for this? Talk about a terrible Tuesday. 401. Yes, 401 cancellations. 401 flight cancellations. Some people thought I was being a jackass yesterday when I was trying to figure out if he had made it home already. But look at it. 401 cancellations. That is a long-ass day. I mean, I'll tell you, I get so bent out of shape when it comes to certain things that I am not, incapable of renting a car and just start driving. Yep. That's how hardcore, because I don't want to wait. That's how it goes from time to time. Anyways, top fiction and nonfiction books currently on the New York Times bestsellers list. So go ahead and talk about that. At the number 5 spot in the fiction category was Verity. At number 4 was The Boys from Biloxi. At number 3, It Ends With Us. At number 2, The Lost Metal. Is that like heavy metal? I mean, I'm just trying to figure it out. And at the number 1 spot, It Starts With Us. So if it ends with us, it's all by the same person. That's a lot of stuff to talk about. Anyways, let's take a look at the other side of the equation. Let's talk about the nonfiction category. The number 5 spot was I'm Glad My Mom Died. I still have such a hard time saying that title because it's kind of a weird one in regards to when you really start thinking about it. And number 4 was Surrender. Yes, Surrender. I have to tell you, I was amazed. Somebody actually sent that book to, not even to our offices. They sent it to my house. And I was like, whoa, where the hell did this come from? And hey, came in. I need to probably crack it open, take a look at what the hell it's about. At number 3 was Friends, Lovers, and The Big Terrible Thing. At number 2, So Help Me God. And then at the number 1 was the Light We Carry. So there you go. So Help Me God. What a title. What a title for a book. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into some other things that are going on inside of the world. Let's take a look at some things that are going out of Ashburn, Virginia. A Northern Virginia school district makes changes concerning sexually explicit material. Richard Sterling has more info.
Virginia will get to review sexually explicit content before it's taught. The Loudoun County School Board approved that new policy last night. It requires 30-day notification before such materials are used in the classroom. This will allow parents to look it over and request alternative options if they believe it's appropriate for their student. The change complies with the state law signed in April. I'm Richard Stelling.
Okay, so thank you, Richard, for that information right there. Take a listen to this coming out of New York. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is facing backlash for his plans to get more people with mental illness off the streets and out of the subway system. Jacqueline Simone with the Coalition for the Homeless does not like the plan.
Really feeding into a harmful narrative that people who are dealing with mental health challenges and people who are without housing are dangerous.
The mayor is now directing first responders to send the mentally ill to the hospital, whether they want to go or not. Head of the New York Civil Liberties Union, Donna Lieberman, accuses Adams of what she calls playing fast and loose with the legal rights of New Yorkers. The Legal Aid Society is supporting the mayor's plan, so it'll be interesting to see what actually ends up going on with this when it comes to the long run of the whole thing. So be on the lookout because I'm sure we'll have more discussions about it. Anyways, there's a dangerous threat in the deep south that's expected to ease today. NBC meteorologist Michelle Grossman has the latest.
Up to 60 miles per hour. That could cause some power outages, bring some trees and power lines down. Also, a few isolated tornadoes, a risk of hail. That's low. Damaging winds, that's going to be the strongest risk.
Okay, more than a dozen Alabama counties, including Montgomery, as part of the southeast Mississippi, were under tornado watch until 6 a.m. this morning, Central Time. So I guess they still have a little bit to go. No. I'm losing it. The National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center said that the main threats included possibility of intense tornadoes, wind gusts of 70 miles per hour, and which are half a diameter of hail, an inch and a half of diameter hail. Storms are expected to move to the east and grow weaker today. About 24 tornadoes developed on Tuesday, including one that forced students at the Mississippi State University to seek shelter last night. At least 2 people were injured in Louisiana. So there you go. Some interesting times and seeing what's going on there. Anyways, take a listen to this. Hawaiian state officials are preparing for the possibility of lava from the Mauna Loa eruption that could cross major roads. Matthew Seymour says that he lost his home in 2018 to a separate eruption on the Big Island.
It was a rough time. It was as spectacular and as beautiful as these eruptions can be. It's very difficult when it's impacts communities and families, and the devastation can be incredible.
The lava from the volcano is now flowing towards the highway just a few miles away, but officials stress that the eruption is not posing a threat to communities nearby. It does cut through. It does, though. Authorities say that it could cause major disruption. This is the volcano's first eruption in almost 4 decades. You know, I would still be a little bit concerned. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. Take a listen to this one. The Los Angeles City Council has given final approval to its new Fair Work Week ordinance. Daniel Martindale has more info.
Ordinance approved Tuesday is designed to make work schedules more predictable for some 70,000 employees of large retail chains in Los Angeles. Employers must give employees their work schedules at least 2 weeks in advance and allow them to have at least 10 hours of rest between shifts. The council had been working on the ordinance for the past 3 years. I'm Daniel Martindale.
Thank you, Daniel Martindale, for that information. So there you go, 10 hours of rest in between in 2 weeks. I mean, that's kind of sweet. If you're working at a retailer, because I worked at a retailer long time ago in a galaxy far away. But yeah, that was something that I did. So I understand, wanting to have that far ahead of time. Anyways, take a listen to this one. Los Angeles County officials are announcing the creation of working group to combat fentanyl crisis. The LA District Attorney George Gaskin outlined yesterday the beliefs that should be the first approach to solving the country's or the county's spiraling problems by not repeating the solutions of the past.
Frankly, had they been successful, we would not be standing here today.
I mean, that's a great point, George. George called the rapid rise of fentanyl-related deaths one of the gravest challenges of our time. The DA office held a joint statement with the health department to establish fentanyl working groups that would utilize prevention, education, and enforcement. So let's make sure that we're clear here. Prevention, education, and enforcement to address the crisis. Law enforcement is working hand in hand with health officials, the school superintendent, parents who have lost children to fentanyl. According to a new report released Department in the Public Health, overdoses death contributed to a synthetic opioid skyrocket at the rate of nearly 1,300% in Los Angeles County from 2016. The Los Angeles Police Chief Michael Moore, not to be confused with the director, says that he hopes to find a better way to crack supply lines for local opioid dealers.
Motivate a dealer at a local level to identify the supplier.
Okay, Dr. Barbara Ferrer, the LA County Department of Public Health, says that the group will work to address the question of what are the circumstances for most overdoses.
People who become addicted to fentanyl, and then there are people who have absolutely no idea that that's what they're ingesting.
Los Angeles resident Julia Shamus, whose son overdosed, shares her perspective of the fentanyl crisis.
To parents out there who think not my child, think again. This is killing straight A students, track stars.
So there you go. A lot of stuff going on over there as we are speaking. It is, 33 minutes past the top of the hour, so you know what this means. It is time to do that thing that we do during this portion of the show that we would definitely call our main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So there you go. We talked heavily there for a few moments about fentanyl. But we need to talk about other things that are going on inside of the world of what we get to interact with. And listen, hopefully you are in an organization that you have not had to deal with issues related to fentanyl. But unfortunately, sometimes you have to take a look at it and go, have you had issues with other drugs inside of your organization? And maybe, that's something that we need to talk about today. Now, listen, I want to make sure that I am covering my bases as we are talking about this, because most of my past life, or not past lives to be confused with anything, so as the time that I've been hanging out in this simulation and doing all the stuff that I get to do, I have been able to interact with the transportation community. And I want to reference that a lot of them follow federal guidelines, at least the transportation stuff that I was doing or being involved in, has federal guidelines by the Department of Transportation of what you have to test people for and what are the category of drugs. Listen, I'm not saying I'm pro, I'm against, or anything. I'm just using this as an example and a pinpoint for what us to talk about in this particular regards. So drug testing did require that you actually spread the information to the employees or potential third parties that you have contracted to let them know what exactly your standards were, especially if they were going to be involved with some of the work that is going on. With that being said, how strict is a drug policy? Well, there is a lot of requirements. I will tell you, one of the last places that I was actually an employee at, I actually had a drug policy inside of that organization that was 27 pages long. I want that to sink in for a moment. 27 pages long. It was 27 pages of information of what it would actually cover. Now, I will tell you, with that being said, it was one of those things that was interesting to enforce. And we actually had a pool that we would actually put people into that, and I'm not talking about a swimming pool, but I'm talking about a pool where we would randomly drug test people month in, month out of what was going on. And they could not do their work until they went and took the drug test. And sometimes because we had so many different people in remote locations, it became a cluster F in regards of getting it done. But it was something that was required by the federal government on how it was set up. Now, listen, I understand that some of the stuff was going to be a little bit more stringent in what we had to do, but also at the same time, too, it was a requirement on how it needed to be done. So with that being said, as you look at your drug policy inside of your organization, do you have one that is federally regulated or mandated? If not, what does your drug policy look like? Number two, if they are in a safety-sensitive area, at least under a federal mandate, why are you not drug testing them? And is it one of those things that it's safety-sensitive, one violation, and you're done? Or can it be one of those things where they could actually come back? Now, if you take a look at this and you start going, none of this stuff makes any sense to me, more than likely you don't have a safety-sensitive drug policy. Or you might not have one at all. And listen, I'm not saying one's wrong and one's right, but there is some things to think about as we are talking about this. Just something to think about. Now, I know that it is Wednesday, and this is not something that you normally would say on a hump day or a Whip 'em Out Wednesday, but it's something that we need to talk about, because if you are under one of those federal guidelines, this needs to be in place. So, if you're not familiar with it, you can reach out to us on our website. We can talk a little bit more about it. That way we can figure out what exactly you might need to have set up within your organization. That's something really to think about.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Tearing the ass out of you like gas station sushi.
Fun yet, open up the door of my heart to you. Life keeps going on, look how time just flew. And you always asking me, are we having fun yet? Are we having fun yet? And I'm always asking you, are we having fun yet? Are we having fun yet?
Yeah, are we having fun yet? This is the Rated R Safety Show. It is currently 43 minutes past the top of the hour. As we are hanging out, this right here is Having Fun Yet by Summit. Thanks to Summit for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. You can find this song on Spotify and iTunes.
Fun.
Yeah, you know, are we having fun? So a lot of stuff. You know, anytime you give me some techno mix here,
Fun yet,
I'm going to be stuck like Chuck.
Life keeps going on, look how time just flew.
Okay, so time just flew. Anyways, that's Having Fun Yet. Thanks again to Summit for allowing us to play this. Let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about some things that are going on inside of the world here. And I have to tell you this because I thought it was a pretty interesting one in regards of seeing some stuff, hearing some stuff. And you know that we constantly talk about 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. And listen, they are there to help you prevent suicide. The Lifeline is there 24/7. They provide free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention and crisis resources for you and loved ones. And you can go to 988lifeline.org. You can call 988lifeline.org. You can text 988lifeline.org. And you can really bring this information forward and talk about this. And you can post it, and you can talk about it, and you can move forward with it. But here's the thing. We can talk about this stuff and mention how important it is, and it will have no impact whatsoever if you are an asshole to people, that be it in person or online. And I know that's a little rough for some in regard to talking about it, but don't go around and saying, oh, yes, this, and this, and then when somebody totally meets you, you're an asshole, online or in person, because it doesn't encourage people to want to do this stuff. It doesn't encourage people to want to stay here. Let's just be realistic. I look at it as pay it forward, be as kind as you can when it comes to certain aspects, because it's just that important. And I'm not trying to give you a sermon on this lovely Wednesday, but it's something to talk about and be realistic when it comes to certain aspects here. So, 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you are struggling with mental health or contemplating suicide, go to this website, 988lifeline.org, or call 988 from your cell phone, or text the word TALK to 988. That's how important it is. We need to talk about it all the time and not be dicks. That would be probably important as well as we are talking about it. Anyways, let's get into some other things that are going on inside of this world as we are moving forward and taking a look around inside of what is happening. Because we talk so much about work, are you familiar with a work jerk? Yes, a work jerk. A man who won the legal rights to not have fun at work, the man referred to as Mr. T, was fired from his parents' consulting, and I said Paris, not parents, Paris consulting firm Cubic Partners in 2015 for refusing to participate in an after-work drinks and team building activities. The way the company put it, he has to let go of the professional incompetence, namely his refusal to adhere to the company fund values. The court found that the company's fund values included regularly obligatory social events that accumulated in excessive alcoholism encouraged by colleagues who made very large quantities of alcohol available. The court ruled that Mr. T was exercising his freedom of expression by refusing to participate in the company's social activities, and that performing these fundamental freedoms could not be a reason for dismissal. Therefore, he had been wrongfully fired. Still, at his next job interview, it's going to be tough to explain why he left his last position. I didn't want to be an alcoholic. That was the reason right there. And wow, this guy could be a lot of fun at a party, huh? I mean, that's something else to think about as we are talking.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, take a listen to this real quick. Fairly recent health trends of intermittent fasting practiced by fit celebrities like Jennifer Aniston, Kourtney Kardashian, Gisele Bündchen might not be such a good idea after all. According to a new study out of the University of Tennessee Health Science Center, intermittent fasting could send you to an early grave. Researchers found that skipping breakfast is associated with high risk of dying from cardiovascular disease. Those who skip lunch or dinner increase the risk of death from all causes. Similar affected were the people who ate 3 meals a day, but at least 2 were less than 4.5 hours apart. The scientists determined that the missing of the meals led to people consuming more calories in a shorter period of time that overloaded the body's metabolism with glucose, leading to other metabolism issues. Those who ate less than 3 meals a day also tended to have unhealthy habits like smoking or drinking alcohol. So I guess that settles it. Everyone should do that. Eat all day and all day long. That is. I mean, I guess if I fasted intermittently before it was cool, or as I call it, too lazy to pack lunch, too cheap to buy one. So I guess that's one of those things that you can take a look at as we are talking. Anyways, it is 49 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's bring some John Small inside of here and let him tell you about the Motivation Minute.
Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Walter. John Templeton said, "It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice." I love this quote. There are a few different people attached to it, but John Templeton is listed as the one who said it in this form. Either way, I agree with all of them. It is nice to be important, but boy, it's far more important to be nice. Here's a little secret, by the way. You can be both. If you want to be truly important, be nice. I remember a few years ago, I was entering a party and there was a little bit of snow on the sidewalk, and I saw this guy shoveling snow. I went over to see if I could help. It was the governor. Yeah, the governor. He said, "Go inside and enjoy the party." I was absolutely amazed at that. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlessaMorgan.com. If you have ever considered meditation or been meditating, here are a couple of important things to remember. Our conscious experience moves back and forth along the continuum between perception and disassociation according to many factors. Perception itself has two axes: interoception, which is a focus on our bodily sensations and internal thoughts, and exteroception, which is a perceptual focus of events beyond the confines of our skin. Knowing where you are on these continuums is essential to selecting the best meditational practice. Also keep in mind that what is best can and does change from day to day and even across the day. Recognizing your state in a structured way and deciding where you want to be mentally and physically when you exit the meditation is essential for best practice. For more information on wellness, check out AlessaMorgan.com.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Oh, yes, you are still hanging out with me on this lovely Wednesday as it can be. It is currently 51 minutes past the top of the hour as we are still doing our thing on this wacky Wednesday, because I guess there's no other way to talk about it. Take a listen to this real quick. Ahead of tonight's Rockefeller Center Christmas tree lighting, millions of Americans are getting ready to pick out their own Christmas tree this holiday. Real Christmas Tree Board Executive Director Marcia Gray shares the best tips before going.
Measure your ceiling, save room for several inches for the Christmas tree stand, several inches for the star or angel, and you can buy the tree that's the right size, and you're not going to waste money by buying too much tree.
An estimated 25 to 30 million real trees are sold each year in the United States. This year, both farmers and consumers are grappling with higher costs for both sides. The Real Christmas Tree Board estimates that the prices are up by 5 to 15%. So there you go. What do you think about it? Do you think it's worth the cause to get the real tree? I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. Anyways, take a listen to this. Milwaukee 10-year-old charged as an adult with a shooting for killing his mom. The story from last week's shooting left Milwaukee mom dead is changing. Michael Kastner has more info.
Prosecutors filed first-degree reckless homicide charges against a 10-year-old boy who police say shot his mother in the head. Investigators originally thought it was an accident, but now say the boy was angry that his mother wouldn't buy him a virtual reality set. Detectives say the boy got his mom's gun, pointed it at her, and pulled the trigger. Family members say the boy then ordered the VR headset online the next day. Prosecutors say the 10-year-old boy will be tried as an adult. I'm Michael Kastner.
So hold on. I get it. The kid killed the parent, allegedly. But how can you try the 10-year-old as an adult? How's that going to work? There's a lot of questions there. I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm not saying it's the wrong thing. But how the hell are you going to try him as an adult? That's going to be something to consider, talk about, and so on as we are taking a look at this. Anyways, let's talk about some things that are going on. No winner for Monday night's Powerball drawing. Tonight's drawing will be for $65 million jackpot or a $33.7 million payout. So there you go. If you want to do the cash, you got the opportunity of doing so. There you go. Some great opportunity there if you like to play that particular game. What else is going on? Let's talk about some things that happened back on this date, taking a look back at 2004, Ken Jennings loses his first Jeopardy match after winning 74 in a row and racking up $2.5 million. Jennings' streak boosted ratings for Jeopardy and was an instant celebrity and a household name. He wallowed in his 15 minutes of fame, appearing on the late-night talk show circuit and even Sesame Street. Jennings could have won on this answer. Most of the firm's 70,000 seasonal white-collar employees work only 4 months of the year. The answer? H&R Block. That was the question back in 2004. So there you go. What else? Let's take a look around at some birthdays that are going on today. Trinity Fatu turns 35. Christy Teigen turns 37. Kaylee Kukua turns 37. Alicia Cumbert turns 40 today. Steve Aoki, 42. Ben Stiller, 57. Bo Jackson turns 60. Billy Idol turns 67. Maddie Patkin turns 70. And Woody Allen, the director, he turns 87 today. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, well, I have some of those today for you. It's Rockefeller Center Christmas Tree Lighting Day, National Computer Security Day, Stay Home Because You're Well Day. Hold on, that was an option? Why didn't I know this before I came in here? Package Protection Day, National Moose Day, and National Mason Jar Day. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on in regards of what you can participate in, because I think that that's going to be importante to do so. So there you go. A lot of stuff. Is there any of those particular days that sound kind of exciting that you would want to celebrate? I'm just wondering because I want to know. Anyways, let's talk about Did You Know real quick. As misinformation, fake news, deepfakes, and conspiracy theories continue to roll around on our tech platforms, it's really no surprise that Merriam-Webster words of the year 2022 is gaslighting. The dictionary says that gaslighting, or the act of practice of grossly misleading someone, especially for one's own advantage, saw a 1,740% increase in lookups this year. Gaslighting beat out runners-up Omicron, Kedify, LGBTQIA, Sentient, Raid, and Queen Consort. Or did it? So there you go. Some stuff to think about in regards of all the wordy-erdies that you could add to the mix of things for sure as that was going forward. So that's that. That is that. Let's talk real quick about some scoops of BS. Cyber Monday is the day when you get to the deal online rather than braving the crowd on Black Friday. Is it just not me? If you haven't given someone a forearm shiver for $99 off a $1,600 TV, it doesn't feel the right way. Also, Ariana Grande debuted a new fragrance. It's perfect for those who want to smell like Christina Aguilera's shadow. So there you go. Some stuff for you right there if you're looking for that. Anyways, if you need a random joke for today, here you go. Yesterday, I donated my watch, my phone, and $500 I was going to use for Christmas shopping to a poor guy. You have no idea how happy that made me feel when I saw him put the knife back in his pocket. So there you go. What else? If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What is the craziest conversation you've ever overheard? If you need a question for the water cooler, try this. Question: the average woman owns 6 of these, and the average guy owns 1 of these. What is it? Bottles of perfume or cologne, depending on how you want to take a look at it. There's your tie-in all together at what we're talking about. Anyways, thank you for coming out and hanging out this morning and doing all the fun stuff that we get to do together, because without you, there is no rhyme or reason to do this thing that we do here. Anyways, at the top of the hour, I will be going over exclusively to RadioBig.fm, so you can keep it locked here. If you're already on Radio Big, you can take a listen to us on iHeartRadio, the streamer version for Radio Big, or just go to RadioBig.fm. If not, you can hang out here on Safety FM, and we will be going into the Sheldon Primus Safety Consultant podcast going on next, if you want to take a listen to that. Anyways, thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener. So that is importante. Don't forget about our event coming up in March, the Safety Differently Workshop, going on in Santa Fe, New Mexico. To find out more information, go to safetyfm.io, safetyfm.io. Here you go. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this. If you light a lamp for someone, it will also brighten your path. Think about that. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.